Well, I have been slightly terrible. I keep telling myself I'm not going to leave a whole load of reads before I do a review video, yet here we are. So May actually was a pretty slow reading month, at least for me, like based on what I usually read. I feel like a lot of things had been happening and I'd kind of had a structured day and like integrated reading as part of that structure. And then when it all stopped, I kind of like imploded a bit. So what I have been reading is definitely nowhere near what I had been doing. And I'm a little disappointed. I'm trying to get myself back on the wagon a little because I love reading. I really do love reading. And then also sharing my thoughts and everything. It's all fun. I want to just like get back into it. So today's video is, I think, everything I read in May and then the first, I think, week or so of June. I'd been sent some volumes and I really wanted to try and finish reading those before I did this video. Otherwise, I'm not going to talk about them in a video. I feel like it's going to be in like for another month or so. Anywho, because I have read so much, we're going to talk more about the volume ones, but I will also talk a little bit briefly around some of the other stuff I've read, even if it's a continuation of a series and all that jazz. Might do the volume ones first. So I pulled them all out. And I had grouped them by like size just to make it look nice for the thumbnail. So this is not going to be in the order that I read them anymore. What I did try to do in May was I tried to be a bit better at writing reviews on Storygraph. So I generally put all of my reads on Storygraph as well as like my ratings out of 5. I do ratings out of 10 in my spreadsheet, so I just halve them to put on Storygraph. But I've also been trying to do more written reviews on there. As part of what I'm doing at work, my role is having me do a lot more writing than I used to. And I'm kind of trying to do some practice at my writing and like trying to keep it concise and not talk too long. Because often when I'm doing these documents, I'll do like responses and stuff. I have character limits. I'm using this as like slight practice to get my point across nicely. I'm rambling. Let me get some volumes. We'll do this stack first. I realized for the thumbnail, like for some reason, one side of the stack has volume 1's at the bottom and one has volume 1's at the top. I have no idea why. Anywho, let's start. So the first volume we have here on top is Ashi, and this is a 3-in-1 omnibus that was sent to me from Titan. Now, football season is like in the air at the moment with the World Cup starting in not very long few days, a week or so I think from now. And being English and all that jazz and shouting the obligatory "it's coming home," it felt kind of nice like reading something that's kind of like fitting the vibe at the minute. I must say I am not a sporty person. Shock surprise to no one. I don't really have much interest in football. I have attended football games. I have attended local football games. They are so cold. It just does not matter what time of year. It's always very cold. However, I do seem to quite enjoy reading about them. Now there is also another popular football manga, Blue Lock. I think this one came first actually. And I have read some Blue Lock. I'm well behind with what is out, what I have. It's on my list to hit this year. Maybe I'll hit it in the next few days because it's like football season. And I do like it, but reading Blue Lock, it does feel like I'm reading a battle shonen. There's like powering up, there's like leveling up, there's all that kind of jazz. One not actually being like fantasy or anything. If you've read it, you might know what I mean. This feels a little bit more grounded. It's about this guy here who plays at a small team. Does it say where he's from? He's from this place, Amy? I looked it up. I think it's like southwest Japan. He travels to Tokyo and they say it's like a 6-hour train journey. But yeah, so he plays local with his school and he is invited for some youth tryouts in Tokyo, which is basically the story of this whole 3-in-1. So I won't give much more spoilers because to me, volume 1 is fair game, but it gets a bit tricky and questionable when it's like a 3-in-1. Like how much of this is fair game because it's one volume, but especially as it's a 3-in-1. The kid is okay. He's like, his skills are fine, but he's really good at reading the field and reading the other players. It's kind of the gist. It's like that's what sets him apart. And I quite liked it. In fact, I read the whole thing last night. I got a walking pad recently, so I was just walking at my desk and I read through the whole thing in the evening. Which really did, I feel, help my reading slump a little, managing to read a big ol' 3-in-1 Omni in an evening. I was quite surprised at how much I enjoyed it. I really need to give more sports manga a go. So I can't wait to get more of this, for this to come out. It's definitely come out at a good time with the World Cup and all that. I wonder if that was on purpose. I'm going to pretend it was. Next up, we have Honeybee and Lemon Balm. This is a BL from Kodansha, and it surrounds a sort of delinquent guy who is taken in by a flower shop worker. It is pretty dang cutesy. There is some delinquentism, what's the right word, here and there. Yeah, so this guy is like down in his luck and ends up helping this flower shop worker owner, and as like thanks he offers him a job and to let him stay in the back room or something. It's kind of cute. There isn't really that much to it. I found it fine. I'm not really sure if I'm going to rush to get more yet because I wasn't overly blown away. Next we have A Cat is a Cat in Any Life, and this is a one-shot. Well, it's an all-in-one. I believe originally it was 2 volumes and it's been condensed into this all-in-one for English release. As you can see, it has sprayed edges. How cute and adorable is this? Little paw prints and cats. This is not the first sprayed edge manga I have. I think I have a Tokyo Pop Disney Nightmare Before Christmas one that has sprayed edges, but that's like it out of everything else. Also, it's like kinda in colour. It's not like full colour, but there is like highlights of colour to the pages, which is one of the reasons it does cost a little bit more, unfortunately. Yeah, the kind of general premise is these odd fluffy creatures that no one knows what they are have appeared in this like fantasy world, and they've like attached themselves to different people in this world. So a cat has attached itself to the hero, 3 kittens have attached themselves to the demon lord, and I think there's another cat that's attached itself to like the knight for the prince or like princess, something like that. It's very light-hearted, it's very sweet. Everyone is super lovely and loves their cats and is doing everything they can to look after them and dote on them. It is not high stakes at all in the slightest. It did make me teary towards the end, but in kind of a happy-ish way, without wanting to give away any spoilers since it is the ending. If you like cats and you like very cutesy, I'd potentially recommend it, especially if you're a cat manga aficionado. Next we have Galaxias, Volume 1, another new series from Kodansha. It feels very battle shonen-y. Some people have these like dragon tails and they can like fight with them and stuff like that, and they have different abilities and traits to them. And there's this whole thing going on. There's a wanted criminal that is like a renowned traveller and all sorts. It very much reminded me of like Fairy Tail, and I don't mean like beats. Oh my gosh, there is even a quote mashed around the back. Just like the story beats and like the mannerisms of some of the characters very much reminded me of Fairy Tail, and the whole like grand adventure. That's what it says there. It's what it felt like. I could see this being a longer running series, but I feel like it'd be better to read in a chunk. I might hold off on a bit again for a pile more to come out before reading more. Next we have Dear Sister, I've Become a Blessed Maiden, and this is a volume 1. It is plastic wrapped. It is a BL. In this world, people summon maidens and do things with them to gain extra power and mana, and this guy starts to summon this girl, and the brother of the girl swaps places with her and becomes his maiden. It is layer upon layer of dubious, no consent, lots of smut. Yeah, I haven't decided on like my thoughts or if I'm going to keep up to date or read more. I think I'd read more, but I'm not sure I'm going to stay up to date. It might be like if I need to make 3 for 2, or is it on sale? I'm not sure yet. Next we have Drawing from Your Memory, sorry. So this is our female lead, and it starts off and she is a really successful artist, but she is hiding a big secret. Turns out all of the stories that she's written are based on the designs and plot points left behind to her from her senpai who unfortunately passed away when they were in school. So he had this notebook with all of these designs and story plot points and all that jazz, and he left it to her, and she then brought these stories to life and became a really successful manga artist based on these. Now she's just reached the end of the story that she's built based on these designs, and she's like kind of starting to spiral. A mix of she doesn't know how to go forward because she hasn't actually managed to create a story of her own, but also she begins to regret her senpai not actually managing to live out the success that she feels he deserves, because it's his story, it's his characters, even though yes, she's drawn it and brought it to life, it's still all based on what he has originally produced, and she is like, yeah, struggling. Now, for whatever reason, when she's having this moment, she suddenly is sent back in time to her days in school, and she was in the manga club, and she's talking to a senpai, and he's there in front of her, and it's months before he passes away. And this time, she is determined to get him to achieve the success that he wasn't able to the first time around. Now, I'll spoil a little bit more from this volume because it's volume 1, but if you don't want later volume spoilers, jump ahead now. So she is really determined to get him to publish, and she does manage to help him to publish. They like work nights, they work super hard, but eventually the stress ends up being too much, and he does unfortunately pass away months earlier than he had the first time around. I think it's like he has some underlying health condition and the stress triggered it. Yeah. Then, for whatever reason, she is sent back in time again to the very same point she was the first time. So now it seems like she's actually just stuck in a time loop, and we're now trying to figure out like what is causing her to go through this time loop. What does she need to do? What is the trigger? Does it involve her senpai? Does it involve her? What's happening? I really liked it. I will definitely be continuing. I also feel like it's the sort of series that's potentially going to make me a bit teary throughout, possibly. Dungeon Elf. What's a dungeon without treasure chests? Volume 1 from Seven Seas. I am really enjoying stories that kind of like show the management side of running a dungeon. There's been a few of them, I think, recently. Though this is probably like skirting a little bit to the side. So this is the main lead, and her name is Snail. She goes around laying chests in dungeons as rewards for adventurers. So where we got? There she is, and she's got like the chest attached to her back that she needs to drop off. And that's her dropping it off on like in place, and it's pretty much like at the ends of like really difficult dungeons and stuff like that, where you would expect like a really good reward at the end. For the most part, each chapter has followed them navigating a different dungeon of sorts, and we walk through how they get through the dungeon, how they fight the boss, and then they put the chest down at the end. We have one up a mountain, we have one in some caves, we have one in the sky, we have one in like a abandoned, overgrown, toxic castle jungle thing. It's kind of like a nice mix of adventuring meets slice of life meets a little bit of action, since she has to kind of usually end up beating the boss to get to the place she needs to place the chest. But she's pretty like overpowered, so it's quite quick. I do think I'm getting like Frieren vibes. It seems to be becoming a bit more common, popularized. I don't know if it's because of Frieren, but there's another volume to talk about in this reading vlog where we have like a main elf character, and a bit of their like character is talking about like the passage of time and human life, and what is like life changing and all that jazz. Time moving on, changes to landscapes and stuff like that. So like when she's fighting the first boss, she says, "See you again in 100 years, my friend," showing that like she does keep coming back to place these chests and is seeing these dungeons evolve. She picks up this like familiar, I think in like the second dungeon. It's like a slime, fairly sentient slime, but I don't think it really talks. So pretty much most of the talking is done by just her. I am quite enjoying seeing the variety of dungeon types and Snail's commentary and how she navigates them, and I look forward to seeing more. As an FYI though, because it might bother some people, the character is very chesty, and some of the panels do like to focus on that. It's not like egregiously like that much in your face that often, but I think it could put some people off, but I don't really mind. It's not really like story focused, it's not like a plot point or anything, she's just a busty elf. Next, we have the tea ceremony master's rich and steamy service spoiled by his skillful hands. And I didn't realise until like the end pretty much that it was a one-shot. Remember, this is a steamship, I can't flick through this. Yeah, we were starting to get towards like the end of the volume. I was like, this is going at quite a pace. Stop opening the volume. No, hold it like this. Yeah, it's going at quite a pace. What's happening? And yeah. So it has like a fairly loose plot. I mean, it's only a one-shot and it isn't that thick or anything. The trope is first love reuniting. I do quite like that. He's been in love with her from like childhood. She's kind of forgotten, they've drifted apart. She is a journalist, he works at a tea house, she ends up writing a story on him. They initially meet as like, I think an accidental one-night stand, and he recognises her. And he wants to try and get back into contact with her and like manages through their families. And they manage to maintain contact because she's a journalist and he is works at a tea house, the tea ceremony master, and ends up with her writing an article on him. It barely is like a few pages though. It takes like there is like stuff in between all of that, but it's just a one shot. So like actual plot is really loose. It is a very quick and slightly rushed story, considering again spoiler. Like at the end they get married and they have children, so we've gone from like reuniting, lots of boning, to marriage and children by the end. I don't think I would have objected to a second volume to drag it out a little bit, because yeah, it was alright. It was a fun one-shot romp. Next volume is Love Out on a Limb. So I'm going to say up front, I didn't realise until I got to the end of this that it is the same manga as other series like Those Not So Sweet Boys, That Wolf Boy Is Mine, and Lost in Focus. And to also be upfront, I am not a massive fan of any of those. So this is a love triangle, basically. And these two are siblings. She is very much in love with him for reasons. Their parents got divorced and the mum took her away and they didn't grow up together. And the parents have reconciled and they've moved back in and she's in love with him in a way that she shouldn't be. And this is the boy next door who likes her and has convinced her that they should date so people don't get suspicious of her weird feelings. Yeah. Spoiler. It is suggested at the end of volume 1 that these two might not actually be related. I don't think that's good enough. I think if your trope is it's okay, they're not technically related by blood, it's not for me. Especially as neither of them know. I am just surprised though, like how often that kind of like as a trope comes up in like all demographics, that it's fine, we're not technically related. Like primarily the other works that I've read from this mangaka I've picked up secondhand, so I'm leaning toward that might be what I do with the rest of this one. Like I don't dislike it enough to not carry on reading at all. It's a high school romance and I'm just a bit soft for those. But I'll hold off secondhand like the rest of them. Just realised none of these are volume 1, so we're going to come back to you in a bit because we have more to go through. I was super confused. I felt like I'd lost a pile of volumes and I just put them helpfully away to the side and not realised. Or forgotten. Okay, first off on this stack, which I think is the small volume stack, we have The Prince's Keeper, title from Square Enix. So we follow this girl here who is a witch, apprentice witch. She still feels not that confident. Her like master witch or teacher witch has like I think gone away. She's on some form of like work trip, I don't know, and she's not come back yet. So she's a bit out of her depth, but she's trying to manage. She goes to this like royal event thing at the palace, and there is a cat that like befriends her, and the cat ends up following her home. And she feels like the cat's trying to communicate, and she can make the cat into a familiar so she can talk to it. And she does, and it turns out it's the prince. The prince has been cursed into turning into a cat. Unfortunately, the curse is like so like hardcore, her familiar spell doesn't like override it, so she can only get the prince to stay in a human form for a few hours and then he goes back to being a cat. And then the plot now is trying to figure out what's going on, and that's pretty much it. It's okay. Again, I don't know if I'm going to rush to stay up to date. It's cats. I like cats. It's fantasy and looks like romance as well. So it is technically a lot of things that I like, but not sure. Not sure yet. Kirio Fan Club, Volume 1 from Decadence, but it is in like the form factor size as like of like a vertical volume. I've asked this I think a few times now, but I don't remember which videos or if I've posted any of them yet. But like, do Decadence do regular size volumes anymore? Or are they all like wide, like vertical ones? And do they still do the vertical imprint on like any new titles? Let me know if you've seen any. But I think it's mostly doing larger form factors now for their titles. Anywho, this story is two friends are competing for the love of a boy. I think it's meant to be this boy, unbeknownst to said boy. The humour is really cringy, like to the point that it's just a bit too cringy for me. I enjoy a bit of cringe, but I didn't enjoy this level of cringe. There were a few bits towards the end of the volume that did make me a bit more interested, and I am hoping that they would bring the cringe levels down a notch. Because I didn't enjoy it that much, what I do like to do when I don't enjoy something is try and read reviews of people who do to try and see like the other side opinion. And apparently, spoilers for a bit later on in the series, spoilers, just jump ahead. Apparently there is like a major tonal shift and the cringe is only really at the very start of the story. It gets into like much deeper vibes, which interests me a bit more, I think. So considering it's apparently not very long, it's like 6 volumes or so, I think I'll definitely give another volume or 2 a go and see what I think going from there, I think. But it's pretty dang cringe. Yeah, there's like one bit where they're like, let's write down the most things about what they like about the boy. And one girl is like, he's nice, he's cool. And this girl just started writing like body parts. A bit too much. Okay, so next we've got a ward of volumes sent to me from Titan outside of the football one. So the football one was a large format, that's why it was in the other pile. But otherwise we have another 5 and I have read them all. First we have Geniearth Volume 1. I really didn't like this. Really didn't like this. Like, though it kind of helped. Like, when I'm reading something, I always say there is nothing worse than reading something that is boring. Obviously, I'd rather read stuff I really like, but I would rather read something I really disliked over reading something dull. And I really dislike this. So, the premise is the Earth is upset. The Earth is angry. And what it has decided to do is form these like mutations in humanity. So every 1 in 1,000 is now what is called like a Geniearth. And they have these abilities to like fight back and beat up people that are ruining Earth, basically. Kind of like superhero-y, I guess. Genetic phenomenon. Declaring themselves superior to all humans, Feudo incites a violent Earth uprising which threatens to destroy the world. Amidst the chaos, an enigmatic and seemingly human recluse has befriended some immensely powerful yet immature beings. So like, yeah, the plot is, it seems so far, we're following these very immature teenage boys who have been chosen to have these abilities, and they are now superior beings fighting back at the cruelty of humanity and society. I really struggle to read it. I feel like reading some of the behaviour came across a little bit like kind of red-pilled, like the mannerisms and like the way they spoke to people, just without like the women's side of it, if that makes sense. So we're following this one kid at school and he's like horrifically bullied. He is horrifically bullied. And everyone joins in beating him up, causing him pain. They even beat his mum up and he doesn't react. And then it turns out that his ability is like to feed on this bad energy and then like spit it back, like bulk up and beat him up in like return. But I just couldn't, it was like so edgy and cringe, and like it came across as the sort of like behaviour that edgy teenage boys wish they had. I feel like I could go on like for longer. I've ranted on long enough, I think, so far. I didn't enjoy it. And there was also such a weird, like, why was there such like a heavy attention to removing the bully's genitals? Like, multiple of the boys with powers were like removing or destroying the bully's testicles and stuff. It was, yeah. It's apparently not very long, but I feel like I'd only read it just to hate on it, which is not really something I want to do. It releases at the end of the month. I do think some people have liked it. I have not. I feel like I got some flashbacks because I did a computer science degree. There were 300 people on my course and there were 5 women. And I was also the course rep for my degree for a few of those years, most of the years. So I think I got some flashbacks to some of what I had to deal with, and I didn't like it. Didn't like it. Next we have Echo Echo Azarak Reborn Volume 1. It says it's the reboot of the manga that inspired the hit series and films. Also, I think this is a sticker. I think I can peel this off. I'm not going to. I do quite like the cover. I think it's really colourful. I like how colourful it is. So this is like it's kind of episodic. We have like our main character here who is a witch and they're like a constant character throughout the chapters. But a lot of it is like something weird or cultish or magical or mystical has gotten into the hands of humans that it shouldn't have. And weird shit happens, usually resulting in the death of said human. And often she comes up and cleans up the mess at the end. There is like other themes throughout. There's a character here or there that it like appears in multiple chapters, but otherwise that's kind of the theme for it. I kind of liked it. I'm not sure if I'm going to rush to get the next one, but I don't know, it was like creepy but not too creepy. Like I was fine with the level of creepiness. I always enjoy a good like occult witchy kind of story, black magic. Next we have Record Journey, and this is volume 1. Apparently there is more. I did not realise at first. So again, to be upfront, I have no interest in records. I have really not much interest in physical media for music. I have some CDs of video games because that was the only way you could get them when I was in my teenage years. So like Zelda CDs, I have soundtracks. But generally, I'm not that bothered. And records, I'm just not bothered at all. So I was a little worried going in that maybe that I wouldn't be able to appreciate or wouldn't enjoy it. And then what I did kind of hope was that we would maybe talk a lot about records and I could learn about them through the medium of manga. But that's also not really quite what the story is about. So again, this is also kind of episodic, slightly joined by the love of music and records, but we are kind of following different people kind of across around the world actually. It's just like a little snippet in their life and their day revolving around music, especially music to do with records. Now some of it ties together, sometimes we see characters from one appear in another, sometimes some are referenced in another, so there is a band that is fairly consistent throughout the chapters, so we play their record in one of them, they appear in another, that kind of thing. At first, the very first like episodic chapter is around this character here clearing out their granddad's record collection. And I had mild flashbacks, because though my granddad didn't collect records, he collected books, so I was like having a flashback to like clearing those out and like finding things of his among the pages and like, he did what now? Learning things about him, that kind of jazz. It's very light, it's very nice. Again, I don't think I mean, I didn't dislike it. I think I quite liked it. It definitely actually grew on me the more I read. At first I was like, I don't know if I can read a whole story around them like dealing with their granddad's record collection. But that was only the first chapter. But it definitely grew on me, and I will keep an eye out for the second one. Next, we have a high elf with a long life. I said earlier that there has been like a bit more of a theme of elf characters and experiencing humanity time frames, and this is kind of another one. So this is about a guy that is isekai'd as an elf, a high elf, and at first he's really, really bored. High elf lifestyle is just slow, simple living. They eat fruit, they don't really do much, and he's bored because he has experienced life on Earth. There is like more to life in his eyes. He could be doing things. So he decides to just get up and travel. And the story then kind of follows him like doing different things. So he ends up as an apprentice to a dwarven blacksmith. And then we kind of time jump a fair amount, like 10, 15 years or so. He's become quite good. He's actually now friends with the dwarf. He's solved dwarf racism and all that jazz in like 2 chapters. And now he's moved off and he's trying to do something else. And even though it is actually pretty fast paced, I quite liked that. I quite liked that we weren't spending a volume in a village and then we'd pass a month or so. We were like properly like jumping along, and I didn't really feel like majorly rushed. I don't ask me why. I don't know why, but I quite liked it. However, it does take a bit of a turn towards the end of the volume, and I found it a bit odd. So basically, another elf comes to him that he'd met on his journey some point earlier in the volume towards the end, and is like, humans have kidnapped and enslaved loads of our people, we need to do something about it. And he's like, yes. And what they decide to do is first free all the elves, but also cause a massive earthquake, I think, as a distraction? I might be wrong on that, but they do cause a massive earthquake, I just can't quite remember why. And then they also have all of the elves move out of this kingdom, out of the forests and the woods, because they're some of the reasons why loads of monsters don't appear in the woods, because they like maintain them and keep the spirits happy. If they move out, all of these monsters are going to appear and they're going to cause a load of bother for humans. So they're trying to cause like a long-lasting like impact on humanity to try and force an apology for the slavery and all that. But it felt really sudden. Like, it's literally this, all of that happens in this. They cause the earthquake, everyone, like, everything happens, and then the guy is like, right, I'm going to carry on with my journey. And I was like, what just happened? We just massacred humanity, and now in like 6-7 pages, now we've moved on. So I think I could have done without that. The rest of it, I quite liked. I do also quite like the, like, bits at the end. So they do say that they were given 2 manga volumes for the light novel, for one light novel. Though I would say it is kind of common for like manga adaptations. I think the best pacing is typically 3 to 4 manga volumes per novel. Otherwise it does just come across a little bit rushed. I have once or twice read manga volumes where they had to do 1 manga volume per novel, usually at the start to prove like if it's popular or not, and then they get more pacing. They're allowed more pacing. But I think 1 or 2 is definitely too short. 3 to 4 is like the sweet spot. So I'll stay up to date with this for a bit more, and I hope that the weird bits don't come back again. I just want to see him like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to become a sword master, I'm going to become master of magic, all this just do random shit as an elf. Do that. Our last Titan volume is Strange Pictures. So we're following this guy here who is a member of a paranormal club. I'm unclear if he's like at uni or at school, college. He's definitely like older. I feel like he's at uni, but I don't think they outright say. He is actively job hunting, so even if he is, he's probably at the end. Over lunch, a fellow club member shows him this like seemingly normal blog, but on a second read, these like odd inconsistencies start to appear. So this blog is like an open diary for this guy called Ken. And he talks about like daily life living with his wife. Early entries reveal that she is pregnant. And because she is an illustrator, she starts drawing these like illustrations. Is it just that one that you see on the cover? She starts drawing these illustrations of what she thinks the baby's going to be like later in life. And Ken calls these like visions of the future. So we see the baby as like a newborn, we see it as a child, as an adult. Because the baby, I think, is in breach or something, they aren't able to tell what the sex of the baby is. So the mum draws the kid as like a boy and a girl in like different stages of life. So spoiler, but again, this is like chapter 1. Unfortunately, the wife doesn't survive childbirth. And we get some like, there's like a blank period in the blog from Ken. And then a month later, Ken posts again, describing like how hectic it's been, trying to juggle both a newborn and the funeral arrangements and just like life in general now that his wife's passed away. So the next and final entry is 4 years after that, where Ken writes this strange message to the person I love the most, saying that he understands the pictures and the scale of the crime committed. And that he'll never forgive the person, but he will always love them. It's like, who is this talking to? Who is this post meant to be for? So this guy and his club members start like diving into the mystery of Ken and these strange pictures and the oddness in the blog messages. So like, what happened to him? What was with the 4-year gap between posts? And also, what do these numbers mean on the images? Where do we got one? It's like these pictures, they all have numbers on them. And like, what are they for? I've talked about it many times, but I am not a horror fan. And it is like usually the one like genre I will completely avoid. I do not want to read it. I don't have any Junji Ito, nothing like that. I'm just too easily scared. So even though this is technically labeled as horror, there isn't anything in it that I dislike. And it's really made me start to think like of especially this and the other series, Strange Houses. Is it Strange Houses? Something like that. Strange Floor Plans. It's really made me think like, what is it that I don't like about horror? Because this is horror. I'm fine with it. I think it's just unsettling. Kind of creepy, but I don't really think of this as creepy. I feel like I think of it more as just like a murder mystery. And I love murder mysteries. I love like weekly crime dramas, police dramas where there's been a murder. Who did it? I love them. And I feel like I'm just feeling it like this. It feels like I'm trying to solve a puzzle. We're trying to solve a puzzle. We have these pictures. The pictures can help us solve the puzzle, do the timeline of the story, figure out what was happening. And I really liked it. I love mysteries. I love puzzles. I love murder mysteries. So this ticked all of my boxes. And I can't wait for another one. I really appreciate them sending me this and all the others. Though there was potentially one I had much stronger thoughts on. I did enjoy quite a few of them. This and the football and the elf one still. We still have more to go through. And I've got all the ones that aren't volume ones to talk about as well. So next we have Merit and the Egyptian God, volume 1. So this girl here has been sent to the underworld. Is that what it's called? Yep. She's been sent to the underworld, but she's not dead. So everyone's very confused. And this is Anubis, but he has been cursed to have a human form and he doesn't have all of his powers for some reason. And she might be able to help restore them. We're not entirely sure. It's a bit odd. And it's just kind of like some hijinks and it's kind of romancy and yeah. I thought it was fine. I couldn't really get into it. I found it slightly dull. Don't really know why. I really like Egyptian mythology. So I was actually really looking forward to getting into this and I just couldn't really. We do have a bunch of other gods and it looks like they're going to pop up more in future volumes, so I'll probably give it another volume or so go, like to have a proper opinion, but volume 1 I couldn't get into that much. My super cute black mage volume 1, I feel like I liked this way more than I should. Like it just ticked so many boxes and I felt just so squealy. But like I can't tell if I'd recommend it. Anywho, I should tell you about it first. So it is magic school and this guy is a black mage and mages are like not well regarded. People like avoid them. They're meant to be bad, plague, like all that jazz. He is very crude to this woman here. Well, not crude, sorry, rude, not crude, rude. Telling her to get lost, go away, what's she looking at? Unfortunately, because of like her innate family magic, if she's like touched, like held his hand or something, and she can now read his thoughts. And it turns out that what he says and what he thinks don't quite line up. And it turns out that he is pretty dang smitten with her. And it's super cute. And she doesn't quite know what to do with this information. I'm not really sure he knows quite what to do with his information. I love he is very much head over heels in love with her and just cannot or will not vocalize that to her. But she is well aware. Let me see. So we have pages like this where he like calls her a stubborn hag and then it's like, you're so cute, damn it. And it's like, you're an eyesore. Are you a flower spirit? I'm gonna whisk you away. This is terrible for my heart. It's terrible for my heart too, okay? And I won't spoil too many more, but it's yeah. But that's what I mean, like, I feel like you need to be really into this kind of thing because it's really sappy. And also, I think some people might read into it too seriously and be like, he's being so mean to her. She shouldn't, like, let him talk to her like that. And it's like, yeah, sure. But also, so I can't wait. I desperately can't wait for more. Next, we have Billy Bat, Volume 1. Hands up, who never thought this was going to get an English print? I never thought it would. In fact, I was looking on the Wikipedia page as I was like, let's see some information. And there is a quote from Urasawa saying like, or not quote, there's a bit that's like, Urasawa going, I don't think this will ever be licensed in English because like of some of the people that he's based characters on are real people. Anywho, I can't believe it's here. Lots of people can't believe it's here. Lots of people are very happy it's here. So this is being published by Kana, and Kana actually reached out offering to send me a copy, a PR copy to review and talk about, except I'd already pre-ordered it. I was too on the ball. I'd pre-ordered it and it shipped like the day before. So I instead went, oh, why don't we do a giveaway instead? And then it spiraled, it's got scary, there's like 4 people in the email chain and all that jazz, but we've got a giveaway. It's probably completed and finished by the time this video goes up, but there was one on my Instagram. So big massive thank you to them, and also reaching out to like UK creators, and like I saw quite a variety as well who had received volumes from them. It's very, very exciting. To be honest, I didn't really know too much about the story outside of the elements that people thought would stop it getting an English release. So like the characters that are based on real people and some of the other like iconography and stuff like that. But I was otherwise going in a bit blind. So it's about this manga artist who had served during the war in Japan and is now in the US. And they are drawing this comic called Billy Bat. So that's their main character, Billy Bat. This is Billy Bat. And the first like so many pages of the volume is like just comic of Billy Bat, and it's also in full color, which is pretty dang cool. And it's like this just like crime noir. I do quite like a good noir, like LA noir movies like that. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? And then we kind of like come out of the Billy Bat story back to the manga artist, and he ends up talking to someone who recognizes the Billy Bat character from something he'd seen elsewhere. So the manga artist is now worried that he's like accidentally plagiarized, he didn't mean to, and he wants to go and seek out permission to use the character. He heads back to Japan to try and track the person down, and like it kind of spirals a little bit. I quite enjoyed it. I do enjoy Urasawa works. My main concern is I find that I generally enjoy Urasawa works if I read them in one go. So I can't decide yet if I try and read this as it comes out, or I pick it up and then hold off reading it until it's complete. It's complete at 20 volumes, so it's still going to be a few years till we get it all in print. I don't know. Also, it is fairly rainbow spiny, especially the first handful of volumes, and I am elated. I can't wait. Next we have Akira failing in love, and I keep wanting to say falling. It's failing. This is quite cute. It's very sweet. She is head over heels in love with him and is so awkward about going about it. He can't pick up on it. He's so oblivious. She's trying her best, not very well, and she has like a day-to-day script plan on how she's going to get him to fall in love with her. I think he's also pretty smitten with her. He's just a bit shit as well. They're both idiots, and I kind of like it. It's quite sweet. I also think her eyes look so pretty. I love the colouring and the shiny effect. Would I recommend it? I think it depends if you're into this kind of like idiots trying to be in love badly. So Kaguya-sama but toned down, or maybe a bit more comical version of like Kubo Wants to Be Invisible, or The Girl I Like Forgot Her Glasses. They're kind of like that, but a bit more comical. They're just a bit shit. I find that hilarious. Next, we have Battlefront of the Great Powers, Volume 1. So, Earth is on the verge of exploding, or something like that. Earth is gonna just pop or something. There are only 16 nations left to fight and share resources on Earth. And it's decided that the best way to determine which one to eliminate for their resources is to run a big old tournament, and the loser gets their oxygen taken away. Oh yeah, it's taken away by the big almighty AI. Praise be. It feels like a premonition. Scary, terrifying, horrific. Each nation has put forward a fighter to partake in these 1v1 battles to determine the rankings. And the first fight is Japan versus the UK. And we'd learn as they're fighting that these fighters have these like abilities that they can fight with. The UK ability is fog and knives. That's apparently what we're known for. Why not also just give him a football if we're going to stereotype? Fog. Also, the UK representative is called Albie Hiddleston, which I found amusing. I do quite like these types of series, lots of action and fighting and weird abilities, and they get pitted against each other, so like Record of Ragnarok. I'm a bit less sure on the use of real countries and nations. I think it's a real tricky line to like balance without being a bit stereotypy. I want to at least read one more volume to see who wins between Japan and UK. I don't have high hopes for the UK considering it's a manga, but I still gotta cheer the home team. Also, do you think the AI is going to be evil? I feel like the AI is probably going to be evil. My big pile is getting big and piley. Also, Mika's been asleep on my desk the whole time, and I can't believe she's not run off with me like shouting and throwing books around. Anywho, we have a few left. Next, we have Apprentice Nail Artist in a Foreign Land, Volume 1. You might have noticed once or twice throughout my videos over the years, but I do quite like doing my nails. I like doing funky shit and putting stickers and funky colours, and I have rainbows at the minute because it's Pride Month. Happy Pride. I was very excited for this. This was like one of my excited reads for the year, one of my excited releases, sorry. It is an isekai with nail art as a theme. I was really excited, which is why I think my feelings on it are amplified, because I didn't enjoy it. And even worse than not enjoying it, I found it really boring, which is worse than it being bad. So our female lead is isekai'd into a world where nail art is used to channel and like amplify magic power. So people would use particular materials and paint like particular designs to amplify like, I don't know, fire magic or healing magic, that kind of stuff. And it sounds really cool, except I feel like the story was trying to front load so much lore with the world and the characters, and I just completely lost interest. We spent so much time like hunting down ingredients over doing like nail painting. There wasn't really much nail painting. I also got a little bit annoyed because there was a lot of putting down of the female character because they only really drew or did pretty nails, and the pretty nails were determined or deemed bad because it wasn't thinking about how to channel magic properly. It was just like aesthetic, so it wasn't very good at channeling the magic, and I feel like they were putting it down like really aggressively for it, and it just left me a bit downtrodden. I'm hoping like story-wise what's going to happen is that she will maintain doing pretty nails but also get better at channeling magic with them, is I think my long-term hope. So overall, I was quite sad, but I think I also need to admit to myself that because I was so excited for a nail art manga, because I've not had one before and it is like kind of a hobby, I think I potentially built it up to be something that it A, wasn't, and B, couldn't be. But I do stand by, I think the pacing was poor and there was too much to it. And I have seen other people read it who had very similar opinions to mine, so I don't feel alone. But I can also admit I probably like set it up for failure. I don't know if I'm going to stay up to date. I'm a bit angry at it at the minute. I need to cool down. I mean, I read it like a month ago. I'm still angry at it. Next we have May I Have a Taste, Volume 1, a new title from Sublime. So one of our leads is a vampire who has like a conscience and doesn't want to feed or hurt on humans. And the other is a guy who really, really badly wants to become a vampire. He finds out that he's a vampire and starts like blackmailing him into helping him find a vampire that will turn him, basically. And he'll also let him feed on him like in exchange as well. So apparently it's not technically a BL. I've seen people say that the manga artist has said it's not a BL. I haven't actually managed to find anything like anywhere where that came from. I can't find like where the manga artist quoted saying it's not a BL. So all the publishers seem to tag it as a BL, even in Japan, and then sites like Manga Updates tag it as like BL subtext. So I know it got a bit of hate when a BL publisher picked it up, but I mean, it's definitely BL subtext. It was okay. I like vampires, so I don't know yet. I don't know if I'm going to rush to pick up more. It's also on the longer side. Like for BL series, I think it's like 6-7 volumes, which is long for a BL. Saying all that, I will just also say that instead of drinking from humans, he tries to drink from cats, like stray cats and alley cats, and I would... No, he doesn't, like, he just drinks a bit to survive and then lets the cat go. The cats are mostly fine, from what I can see, but I would arguably feel that that's worse. Just beat up a human. Find a really bad human, leave the cats alone. Tale of Luvelia Kingdom, Volume 1. So this is like a very standard, I feel, fantasy romance from Tokyo Pop. But instead of following the female lead that we usually do, we follow the male lead instead. But otherwise, the story is kind of like following the usual kind of tracks. She was engaged to the Crown Prince. He has broken off the engagement to be with someone else. He is related to the king and crown prince, like a cousin or a nephew or something. He wasn't initially in line for the throne, but after the crown prince broke off their engagement so loudly and publicly, the crown prince was forced to step down and he was forced to step up, and now they're engaged. He had been a knight, and like his intention was to just live out life as a knight serving the kingdom, and now his whole life has changed. We're also going down a very similar path in that the other female character who the crown prince is now wanting to marry is accusing her of bullying her when that never happened. We do have some moments with her where she's like a bit sad at everything that's going on, like she's been training her whole life to be the queen, and then all this has gone down. But it's mostly like here or there. We primarily follow him, and then we do have some time with them both together as well. It is jolly enough, and I like these kind of stories. They're not really that much different from each other, but I still eat them up. So I'll keep reading it, but I'm not sure I'm going to rush to recommend it. Following the male lead is a nice change though. It is also shown that the woman the crown prince is now smitten with has been isekai'd from Japan, and this is based on a dating sim. But it's like literally 1 or 2 panels like in passing, and then the character has like been taken away to go live as like a nun or something, or far off land. So I'm like, I don't quite understand the point of it, just so it can also still sit in this like fairly typical isekai'd into a dating sim, but now she's out of the way, we can just get on. Will it have implications later on? She was very angry about it all, but I still don't quite get why. Our last volume 1 is the mortifying ordeal of being seen. When I started reading this, because I have read quite a few like high school romances where it's a very bland male character and a very sexualized female character, and I've just not really enjoyed many of them. And I've started this one and I thought it was going to be the same, and it kind of is, but I kind of liked it. So he comes in and is like making comments on her chest, inappropriate, and she starts making comments back about his body, and he is like, what? Taste of your old medicine, your old disgusting boy. And then it kind of just starts turning into flirting. They both like each other, and they're both really awkward, and the way they go about it is by making these comments about each other. And it comes across oddly endearing. It's kind of funny, cute, whilst also being mildly inappropriate. I don't really know how else to explain it, but I quite liked it, and I will be picking up more. It is Viz, so at least it is on the cheaper side. It's bright pink. I'm hoping we're going to get more bright colours. Right, we have done all of the volume 1s. How many non-volume 1s do I have? Do I go through these quickly? It's not a major pile. Let's try and jump through. So we have The White Cat's Revenge, Pod from the Demon King's Lap 5. It's been years since a volume, and like we've had the reveal. People know that she is the cat, and it's kind of cute, but I'm still like, it's been years. I hope 6 comes out quicker. I'll Become a Villainess who goes down in history. It seems turning into a highborn baddie makes the Prince of the More Lovestock Volume 4. We got some backstory around these characters, and I personally was just not that bothered. I want to spend more time with her. Not a big volume, I think like half of it was around them. It's a nice shade of blue though. Otaku Vampires Loved by Volume 2. I had started reading this in April, got distracted, and was like, I gotta finish this. I had read this for a Square on the Anything Goes board, and I don't think I have found it quite slow. I'm not a massive fan of the series. I have stopped picking it up for now, but it did pick up towards the end of this volume and I enjoyed it a bit more. So I think I'll definitely read, I think I have 1 or 2 more volumes, and then I'll make a decision from there if I keep collecting or stop. Reincarnated in a Mafia dating sim, the Yakuza Eros becomes the top-ranked villain's romantic target, Volume 4. I love this pairing. I love how dark it is. Well, dark. We're just progressing story on the mobile game, but things are like happening but not quite happening in the same way. I just want more interactions of these two. Amano defies the world of BL3. There isn't really an ongoing story, it's just him trying his dang hardest to not get stuck in a BL story. It's really funny, it's really hilarious, but it's pretty episodic, so there really isn't much story to talk about. It's just funny. I'll Never Fall in Love with Amano Volume 3. I read 1 and 2 in January and I regretted it because it is complete at 3. This is it. I wish I'd read them all together, basically. I don't think I really liked quite how they ended it. They got them into a fight in like the last chapter and they stopped talking and they broke up or something like that. I kind of wish they'd not done that right at the end. I get it, they're high schoolers, but still, they did reconcile and it is like, oh, they're all happy, it all sorted itself out. It felt a bit too quick. Some of the chapters before that were really lovely, so yeah. It Takes More Than a Pretty Face to Fall in Love, Volume 2. I have damaged it a little bit, like some of the top layers come off. I was just feeling lots of high school romance bits. There's a few more in here actually. And I read Volume 1 I think last month or the month before and I was like, I have 2 and I have actually ordered some more. And it's just progressing on. Their like awkward relationship. She's like, thinks he's like the most smashing thing ever and he wants to be seen for who he really is. Next I read Frieren 13 and 14. I had put it off because it's slow releasing and yeah, I think I hadn't read a volume in just over a year and these are the only volumes that had come out. I think the next one doesn't come out till January if I looked correctly. So I have a ways to go. I'll probably save another couple of volumes. I do think I'm glad that I held these two together. I'd loved volume 12, but I think I'd have felt more confused at where the plot went at the start of volume 14 if I'd like read that on its own. I really quite like the plot in the village with like the old like assassin and he's like, I don't really know why I'm here, I'm just following orders. And then they talk him down, it's quite sweet. Next, as I said, more high school romance. We have Glasses with a Chance of Delinquent volumes 2 and 3. I really liked it. I like the dating and he's quite protective and they're very cute with each other. What I don't like is I can't find volume 4. I was like, I'll catch back up to date because I think 6 is just out. I can't find volume 4, so I'm holding off. I'm gonna go shopping a few times over the next few weeks because I'm just in the areas for like work and stuff. So I'm gonna see if I can find 4 in store instead, but I can't find it in stock in line at the minute. As we have Perfectly Fine on my own, volume 2. She is continuing to be an independent woman who don't need no man. He is right royally fudged it up. At least he does manage to successfully invite and take her to a dance. But it's too late. It's too late. Let her be. Let her be. I think it's great. I'm really enjoying this one. Next we have Quality Assurance in Another World volume 12. I still can't get over that this is a shiny volume. None of the other Quality Assurance volumes are shiny. And I know it sometimes happens with series, I just find it really extra funny because of like the title. I love this series. It's definitely more on the darker side than you kind of like expect it to be. And I am super annoyed at how it ended. I need 13 because some people have not been great people and I want them to get their comeuppance. Next, I'll do these together. We have 3 volumes of Steamship. So we have Seduced by the Demon King. Are they all volume 4s? They're all volume 4s. So we have Seduced by Demon King, which was the final volume. I quite liked the ending. I quite liked what happened. I liked that he kind of like reset everything and she was sent back and she misses him and she's trying to find him and they do manage to reconcile. He's been reborn as a human and all that jazz. And they can live happily ever after and I assume have children. I think it was a bit rushed. I liked what they were going for. Maybe they should have started the ending a bit sooner or an extra volume. One or the other. Become the Villainess wants to escape from the sadistic prince. It's only because it's a steamship. I don't recommend this one. It's pretty gross. And it's gotten weird because we've got like another couple that's kind of appeared. It's also like fairly sadistic and just, yeah. Virgin Marriage, also the final volume. A lot of these complete in 3 or 4 volumes. Yeah, they're all happy. They have kids. I was going to say they get married. They're already married. That's the point. It's just a very nice, wholesome one. If you want one on the more wholesome side, a steamship on the more wholesome side, sorry. Virgin Marriage. And it's only 4 volumes. It's fine. Last volume. Finally, my throat is going to give out. It is Nina the Starry Bride 15. We got another Nina. I have become rather smitten with Nina. It's so pretty that she's trying to find a star person to talk to, basically, and is getting into all sorts of trouble along the way. She's kind of a wanted person, so like they're trying to give her eye drops to change the colour of her eyes, because like the blue eyes is very like star person-y. She ends up in another castle with some more princes, because she can't seem to stay away from like princes. And things go wrong at the end of the volume, and they're trying to escape it all. My main Nina regret is I go through the volumes really quickly, so I feel I need to read them in like groups of 3, but there is no way I'm gonna save them. There is no way. Right, so we are done. Thank you so much for watching. It was really long. Why do I do this to myself? Just do them more often. I've read a load of volume 1s and I am still going to keep reading loads of volume 1s, so yeah. Let me know in the comments if I've tempted you towards anything or tempted you away from anything, or if anything you've already read, and do you have differing opinions to mine? I always like to hear differing opinions, both positive and negative, to like, I don't know, build a well-formed image opinion. And if you haven't already, remember to check out my social media and affiliate links. They'll be this way. And if you're interested in early access to my videos, because I am getting back on top of being ahead, it's 99p a month for early access. I do also want to try and stream again. I don't know when, where, how, if I will do before this goes up or not. I do want to try and at least do one, just to like get back into it, see what it's like. And then there'll be fun emotes when we do that, if you have a membership, that is. Otherwise, I hope you have the most wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye bye!